Very good morning, dear children. Hope you all are fit and fine. Today, let's study a new poem. The poem name is Lochinvar. This is a ballad, children. The ballad is about romance and courage. It is actually written by Sir Walter Scott. Let's know about the poet first. Sir Walter Scott was a Scottish novelist, poet, historian, and biographer. He expanded the range of novel as a literary form. His historical novels changed attitude towards the past children. He made the world aware of Scotland. He was an excellent storyteller. In this popular ballad, he tells us how, in olden days, brave young men in Scotland possessed extraordinary qualities. His poems were capturing the attention of readers and was living fascinated with rich imagination. So now let's not waste time. Let's study this interesting poem of a brave young knight named Lochinvar. This poem is in a form of ballad. As I told you before, one of the main feature of a ballad is its musical quality, children. Repetition of words and lines and its rhyme scheme. This poem is very important, children, as it is asked to memorize first 4 stanzas of the poem, that is up to 24th line. Is it clear? Hope so. Now let's read the poem and understand more about Lochinvar. There is a pre-reading activity. And a very fine quote mentioned in it, children. That is, love and courage go together. To understand this quote more deeply, I would like to narrate an epic love story of Prithviraj Chauhan and Sanyogita. As we know, our history is full of legend stories and folk tales about the kings and queens and about their brave deeds. One such story is about Prithviraj Chauhan's love towards Sanyogita, children. So, Prithviraj Chauhan was the 12th century king. It was mentioned by his court poet Chand Bardai. The legend of Prithviraj Chauhan and Kanauj Princess Sanyogita's love is a fascinating saga of romance, war, and courage. So, Prithviraj Chauhan was a brave king of Chauhan dynasty whose rule extended to the parts of Rajasthan, Haryana, Delhi, and some parts of Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Some historians mentioned Prithviraj Chauhan as the last Rajput king who ruled Delhi before the Muslim conquest of the Indian subcontinent. So, Prithviraj Chauhan defeated Muhammad Ghori 16 times. Ghori attacked for 17 times and was defeated by Prithviraj Chauhan and his army for 16 times, children. So soon Prithviraj Chauhan's valiant glory reached to the highest peak. His heroic tales spread everywhere. This news reached to the ears of Sanyogita, who was the daughter of Kanauj king, and the king name was Jaichand. But before love could flourish between these two people, the relationship between Jaichand and Prithviraj Chauhan was strained. Means it was not good. There was a dispute between Jaichand and Prithviraj Chauhan, whereas Sanyogita, his daughter, was deeply in love with the king, with Chauhan, and was extremely impressed by his heroic deeds. According to legend, they fell in love when a painter from Chauhan's court, his name was Panna Rai, visited and showed the painting to Princess Sanyogita. The same painter, when he returned, painted Sanyogita's portrait and showed it to Chauhan. So the beauty of Sanyogita captured the attention of the king. That is the attention of Prithviraj Chauhan, it is said. One day, Jaichand, father of Sanyogita, arranged Swayamvara for his daughter. He sent an invitation to all the kings except Prithviraj Chauhan children. Instead, to get satisfaction, he placed a statue of Chauhan near the entrance door. So, like the doorman's statue was kept at the side of the door. So, when Sanyogita came to know that Prithviraj Chauhan was not invited to Swayamvara, she was disappointed. She wrote him a letter expressing her desire to marry him. To this, Chauhan promised her that he would come to Swayamvara. Finally, a day came when Swayamvara was arranged. Sanyogita came in the court holding a garland in her hands. She had a glance, but she found that Chauhan was not visible. He was not present. She stepped forward. She walked past all the kings, rejecting each one of them. Then finally she reached to the statue of Chauhan, which was placed near to the door. At that moment, Chauhan, who was hiding until then, he came out of that statue, and Sanyogita put the garland around his neck, children. So Chauhan then openly challenged Jaichand to stop him from taking his lover. This made Jaichand to get insulted in front of huge gathering. That day, thousands of soldiers led their lives to make sure that Prithviraj Chauhan would escape safely from Kannauj with his newly wedded wife Sanyogita. So this epic love story makes us believe that everything is fair in love and war. Hope you have understood the story, children. In a similar way, Lochinvar possesses same kind of qualities like Prithviraj Chauhan. He is a war hero and a man in love, means courageous in war and sensitive in love. Lochinvar was in love with the king's daughter, and the daughter name was Alan. So when he hears that Alan, with whom he was in love, was being married off to someone else, then that day he decides to stop it. He rides on his horse, determined to win Alan. Let's read the poem and see, children, how he succeeded to get Alan from such gathering. O young Lochinvar is come out of the west, through all the wide border his stead was the best. And save his good broadsword, he weapons had none. He rode all unarmed, and he rode all alone. So faithful in love, and so dauntless in war, there never was knight like the young Lochinvar. The poem starts with the travelling of Lochinvar, children. He was travelling from west, and that was from Scotland, which is in west. So he was travelling to North England to Netherby Hall, where Alan was getting married. With determination in his mind and love in his heart, Lochinvar was riding on his horse, which was one of the best horse. A courageous knight, brave heart, and skilled fighter, had no weapons rather than a sharp sword, and that was enough to threaten his enemies. He was a sole, fearless crusader who enters the battlefield with total confidence in his abilities and swordsmanship. Another striking quality of Lochinvar is his loyalty and faithfulness towards his love. He loves Alan, but she was forcefully made to get married with a timid and coward man. Lochinvar was a perfect match, but whereas Alan's father did not like Lochinvar. So here he wanted to reach his destination as soon as possible and wanted to stop that marriage. Bravely, he was moving forward to Netherby Hall, children. So the poet says, there is no comparison of anybody with Lochinvar. So the line is, there never was knight like the young Lochinvar. He stayed not for brake, and he stopped not for stone. He swam the Ask river, where ford was none. But ere he alighted at Netherby gate, the bride had consented, the gallant came late, for a laggard in love and a dastard in war, was to wed the fair Ellen of brave Lochinvar. Now the poet describes the various accomplishments of the young Lochinvar. He never leaves any battle half fought. He is tireless in his pursuit of victory and glory. So what the poet says here, he did not stop for a while. He did not take a break. He did not stop because of dense group of bushes or trees, children. So he swam through rivers like river Esk, which was very deep and fast. It was a deep river that he crossed bravely without any fear. But his final and most difficult battle was at the Netherby Hall, where his beloved Ellen was marrying another man who was not worthy for her beauty and grace. Ellen was waiting for Lochinvar eagerly, and he came late. So, when this gallant young man entered the hall, the bride stood with coward man. That's what the meaning of this paragraph tells us. So, what is going on here, children? Ellen stood with the another person who was not fit for her. He was not worthy for her beauty and grace. So here the gallant young man is referred to Lochinvar. When he entered the hall, he found that Alan was standing with that coward man. Did not stop. He was not stopped by a fast flowing river. He was not stopped by the forest. And he was not stopped by anybody else. So the poet says there is no comparison. The gallant young man, he was a brave, and he had made up his mind to win Alan. So now he has arrived at the battle to win back his lost love. I hope you have understood. You don't have any doubt. So that's all for today's session, children. We will continue the remaining part in the next session. Meet you in the next video class. Till then, keep updating your knowledge. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me in Google Classroom. Thank you.